The Last Seed. Great hook and amazing introduction. The sky was a deep crimson, a color that signaled the end of everything humanity had ever known. The world was dying, gasping its final breaths, as dust storms swept across barren lands where crops once thrived. Cities lay in ruins, swallowed by deserts that had no end, and the oceans had long retreated, leaving behind cracked earth that groaned under the weight of hopelessness. Humanity was on the brink of extinction, its only hope lying in a past long forgotten, a past buried deep within the future. A group of the last surviving scientists huddled inside a makeshift bunker, their faces etched with determination and despair. They were humanity's final hope, tasked with a mission so impossible that failure seemed inevitable. Their objective to travel into the future, where a single seed from a long-dead plant, the life bloom, might still exist, a plant believed to have the power to restore life to a dying Earth. Chapter 1. The mission begins. Dr. Ilara Voss, the lead botanist, stood tall despite her exhaustion. Her long auburn hair, streaked with silver, was pulled back in a tight braid. Her green eyes, sharp and intense, revealed a mind constantly at work. She was determined to find the life bloom, no matter the cost. "Time is our enemy," she said, her voice steady yet carrying the weight of the world. "We have to make every second count." Beside her was Lieutenant Riker Hale, a soldier from the last surviving human battalion. His broad shoulders and military posture contrasted with the deep sadness in his steel blue eyes. The scar running down his right cheek told a story of battles fought and comrades lost. His black hair, cropped short, did little to soften his hardened features. Yet beneath his stoic exterior, there was a flicker of hope, a hope that drove him to fight for humanity's survival. Riker checked his gear, and the sound of metal clinked as he secured his weapons. "We're ready," he said, his voice gravelly and firm. "Let's find that seed and bring it home." The team boarded the chronoship, a vessel designed for time travel, its sleek metallic hull gleaming under the dim lights of the bunker. The ship hummed with power as the crew settled into their positions, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. As the chronoship activated, the world outside blurred into a vortex of colors, sounds, and lights, a maelstrom of time folding in on itself. The crew gripped their seats, the tension palpable as they hurtled through the fabric of time, their destination a future where Earth had long since fallen silent. Chapter 2. Arrival in the Future. The ship jolted to a stop, and the world outside was eerily quiet. The future Earth was a wasteland, devoid of life, with skeletal remains of skyscrapers piercing the sky like gravestones. The once bustling cities were now crumbled ruins, overgrown with twisted, alien flora that thrived in the absence of humanity. Ilara scanned the desolate landscape, her heart pounding in her chest. "This is it," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "The future of our world." The team disembarked, their boots crunching on the cracked earth. Riker took point, his rifle ready, his eyes scanning for any threats. The sound of their breathing echoed in the silence, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. The air was thick with the scent of decay, a constant reminder of the world's fate. As they moved forward, the ground beneath them trembled, and from the shadows emerged creatures, unlike anything they had ever seen. Towering figures with elongated limbs, their skin a sickly gray, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. The aliens moved with an unsettling grace, their movements silent as they encircled the team. Riker's finger hovered over the trigger, his instincts on high alert. "Stay close," he ordered, his voice low. "We don't know what these things are capable of." Ilara's heart raced as she studied the aliens, her mind racing to find a way to communicate. "We mean no harm," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "We're just here to plant a seed that can save our world." The aliens paused, their heads tilting in unison, as if considering her words. Then, without warning, they attacked. Chapter 3. The First Engagement. Riker's rifle barked to life, the sound of gunfire echoing through the ruins. The team scattered, taking cover behind the remains of a wall as the aliens closed in. The air was thick with the acrid smell of gunpowder and the metallic tang of blood. Ilara crouched behind a crumbling pillar, her breath coming in short gasps. Her hands shook as she fumbled with a small device, a communicator designed to translate alien languages. If she could just get it working. "Cover me," Riker shouted, firing at the advancing aliens. His shots found their marks, but the creatures seemed unfazed, their wounds closing almost as quickly as they were made. The rest of the team returned fire, the air filled with the deafening roar of weapons. Bullets tore through the aliens, but they kept coming, relentless in their assault. Ilara finally activated the communicator, her voice shaky as she spoke into it. "Stop. We're not your enemies," she pleaded, the device translating her words into a series of clicks and hums. The aliens hesitated, their movements faltering as they processed the message. For a moment it seemed like the battle might end, but then one of the creatures lunged forward, its claws slashing through the air. Riker intercepted it, his combat knife flashing as he drove it into the alien's chest. The creature let out a shriek, its body convulsing before it fell to the ground, lifeless. "They're not going to stop," Riker said, his voice grim. "We need to move now." The team regrouped, their faces set with determination. They couldn't afford to be delayed. The seed was out there, somewhere, and they had to find it before it was too late. Chapter 4. The Search for the Life Bloom. The team pushed deeper into the ruins, navigating through narrow passageways and crumbling structures. The air grew colder, and the light dimmer as they ventured further from their point of arrival. Every step echoed with the weight of their mission, the tension mounting as time slipped away. Ilara's mind raced as she pieced together fragments of data they had gathered before the mission. The life bloom was believed to have been stored in a secure facility, a place where scientists of the future had preserved the last remnants of Earth's once thriving ecosystem. But where? Ilara, over here called Dr. Jensen, the team's biologist. His voice echoed through the empty halls as he pointed to a set of double doors at the end of the corridor. They were marked with a faded symbol, an ancient tree with roots that extended deep into the earth. "This must be it," Ilara said, her heart pounding with a mix of hope and fear. Riker nodded, his eyes scanning the area for any signs of danger. "Stay sharp," he warned. "We don't know what's behind those doors." The team approached the doors cautiously, their weapons ready. Ilara reached out and pressed her hand against the cold metal, the door creaking open with a groan. The room beyond was dark, the only light coming from the glow of their flashlights. Inside, rows of glass containers lined the walls, each one holding a different species of plant, some familiar, others alien. But one container stood out among the rest, its contents glowing with a faint, otherworldly light. "The life bloom," Ilara whispered, her eyes wide with awe. Chapter 5. The Final Stand. Just as Ilara reached out to retrieve the seed, the ground shook violently, and the walls began to crumble. From the shadows emerged a new threat, larger, more menacing aliens with armor-like skin and glowing red eyes. They were the guardians of the life bloom, and they were not about to let it go without a fight. "Defensive positions," Riker shouted, his voice cutting through the chaos. The team formed a tight circle around Ilara, and their weapons were trained on the enemies approaching them. The sound of gunfire filled the room as the aliens charged, their roars echoing through the chamber. Ilara worked quickly, her hands steady as she carefully extracted the seed from its container. The life bloom pulsed with life, its light growing brighter, as if sensing the presence of its last hope. "We've got it," Ilara called out, her voice filled with triumph. But the battle was far from over. The aliens were relentless, their attacks growing more ferocious with each passing second. Riker fought with everything he had, and his movements were precise and deadly. But for every alien he brought down, 2 more took its place. "We can't hold them all forever," Riker shouted, his voice strained. Ilara clutched the life bloom to her chest, her mind racing. They had to get out, but the exit was blocked, and the aliens showed no signs of retreating. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the chamber, sending debris flying. The aliens paused, their heads turning toward the source of the blast. From the smoke emerged a new figure, a towering robot, its eyes glowing with a fierce light. "Get down," Riker yelled as the robot opened fire, its weapons tearing through the alien ranks. The team took cover as the robot cleared a path, its movements swift and powerful. It was a machine built for war, and it showed no mercy. "Go," now Riker urged, his voice filled with urgency. Ilara didn't need to be told twice. She bolted for the exit, the life bloom safely in her grasp. The rest of the team followed, their hearts pounding as they raced through the crumbling ruins. The robot continued to hold the aliens at bay, buying them precious time. But they knew it wouldn't last forever. Chapter 6: Escape and Hope. The team burst out into the open air, the chronoship waiting for them. Riker ushered everyone inside, his eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of pursuit. The ground beneath them rumbled as the ruins collapsed, the sounds of the battle fading into the distance. Strap and Riker ordered as he took the helm, the ship roaring to life. Ilara clutched the life bloom tightly, her heart still racing. They had done it, they had found the seed that could save their world. But the journey wasn't over yet. As the chronoship lifted off, Ilara glanced out the window at the desolate landscape below. The future was bleak, but in her hands was the key to a new beginning, a chance to restore life to a dying Earth. The ship surged forward, the vortex of time enveloping them once more. The world outside blurred into a whirlwind of colors and sounds as they hurtled back to the present, the fate of humanity resting on their success. Chapter 7: The Return. The chronoship emerged from the vortex with a jolt, the familiar sight of the bunker coming into view. The team breathed a collective sigh of relief as the ship touched down, its engines powering down with a low hum. Riker was the first to disembark, his eyes scanning the bunker for any signs of trouble, but all was quiet, too quiet. "Something's not right," Riker muttered, his hand hovering over his weapon. Ilara followed closely behind, her heart pounding in her chest. The bunker was eerily still, the usual hum of machinery absent, but she couldn't afford to be distracted. The life bloom needed to be planted immediately if it was to have any chance of taking root. As they entered the main chamber, the lights flickered to life, revealing a group of scientists waiting for them. Their faces lit up with hope as they saw the life bloom in Ilara's hands. "You did it, Dr. Hayes," the head scientist exclaimed, his voice filled with emotion. "You found the life bloom." Ilara nodded, her eyes shining with tears. "We did," she said, her voice trembling. "But we need to act fast. This is our only chance." The scientists quickly set to work, preparing the soil and the necessary equipment. Ilara carefully placed the life bloom in the prepared ground, her hands steady as she buried the seed. The room fell silent as everyone watched, holding their breath as the life bloom pulsed with light. Slowly, the ground around the seed began to glow, and from the soil, a small sprout emerged. The team erupted in cheers, their voices echoing through the bunker. The life bloom had taken root, its light growing stronger with each passing second. It was a symbol of hope, a beacon of life in a dying world. A new beginning. Days turned into weeks, and the life bloom continued to grow, its roots spreading deep into the earth. The air around the bunker grew fresher, the once barren land beginning to show signs of life. Grass sprouted where there was only dust, and flowers bloomed where there was once only despair. Humanity had a chance to rebuild, to start anew. The life bloom was their salvation, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope could be found. Ilara stood at the edge of the bunker, her eyes fixed on the horizon. The world was still scarred, but it was healing. She smiled, her heart filled with a sense of peace she hadn't felt in years. Beside her, Riker placed a hand on her shoulder, his expression softening. "We did it," he said, his voice filled with quiet pride. Ilara nodded, her eyes brimming with tears. "Yes," she whispered, "we did." The sun began to rise, casting a golden light across the land. It was a new dawn, a new beginning, and as the first rays of sunlight touched the life bloom, it seemed to glow even brighter, its leaves reaching towards the sky. Humanity had been given a second chance, and they wouldn't waste it. The future was uncertain, but they would face it together, with hope in their hearts and the life bloom as their guide. And so, the story of the last seed came to an end, a tale of courage, determination, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. It was a story that would be told for generations, a story of how, in the face of extinction, they had found the strength to survive. And in the end, they had won.